Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. The Northwest and the Southwest regions of Cameroon have a distinct identity on the basis of their historical, social, and cultural heritage, their lifestyle, their educational system, their justice system, their worldview make them different. Even one of the hard science fundamental principles, osmosis, by which a stronger solution neutralizes and absorbs the weaker one, has found the exception to the rule here in what we have in the Southwest and Northwest regions. In recognition of what makes Cameroon Africa a miniature, today fondly called the continent, because its strengths, exploits, and fame come from pillars of unity in diversity, the Northwest and the Southwest regions have a special status as a legal instrument born from a conscious and strong political will. The special status, like it does to every minority group around the world, is meant to protect and develop the historical and cultural heritage of the Northwest and Southwest regions. But just how practical is the special status in the Northwest and Southwest regions is the question Press R is asking today, and you will find some of the answers in today's edition of the program, in which you have the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly in the person of Mr. Ilango Zacchaeus Bakoma, who has traveled all the way from the Southwest to Yaoundé for Press R today. We have that honor, Mr. President, to have you on our set, coming right away from the Southwest.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
Pleasure shared. Honor is ours to have you on Press R. This is exactly what we want you going to see, how practical in the Southwest region. From his perspective, and you know he is the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly, is the special status really practical? He's going to tell us. We have Professor Victor Mbarika. He is a Cameroonian diaspora, known to us, a household name on Press R. He also is the president of the ICT University, which has campuses around the world. We're very glad to have you on Press R, Prof.
Always my honor, Killian. Thank you.
Thank you once again for coming. We have the one journalist that we have with us here, Promise Akante. Promise Akante is a journalist with Cam 10 TV. Promise, welcome.
Thank you very much, Killian. Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Good afternoon to my co-panelists. And hopefully we are going to serve the population with exactly the right information, with no excesses.
Thank you very much. One big lady in a big panel of big men. Stephen Ojambeng is a conflict expert. He also is a member of the Northwest Regional Assembly, and there have been so many activities in the Northwest Assembly the past week, and he's going to tell us exactly what has been happening within the 1 week that passed, that follows so many other activities that aspect of the special status of the Northwest and Southwest regions are doing for Cameroon. Honorable Stephen Ojambeng, welcome to Press R.
Thank you so much, Mr. Killian, and thank you for inviting me. Just to take permission from you to extend my warm regards to the President of the Regional Assembly Southwest, my co-panelists, most especially to the Christian faithful who are in the churches praying for us, and that our time here today will not be wasted because we have a lot to contribute to nation building.
We have a lot. Building our nation depends on which stones that we have. Corner or wall stones give your own quarter and build your nation. It is our nation, we have to build that together. And that is exactly what we do on Press R. These are the people who are going to contribute their own stones, corner or wall stones today. First thing is press review. Yoti Kalele Songe read the newspapers for us, and we're going to watch the report that she did and start with the discussions that you must not miss, because it will not just be a discussion like any other. Yoti, press review.
Newspaper readers were met with a smell of death this week. At first glance, they thought it was a thriller, but the stark reality of the story brought them back to the real world, making their blood run cold. As the Guardian Post headlines, "Horror in Yaoundé. A NAM graduate allegedly kills and dismembers mother, Sylvie Louisette Ngoyebel." The Horizon adds more flesh to the narrative, revealing that she was a female journalist and communication expert, while concurring that she was allegedly assassinated by her son in Yaoundé. A life taken at a time when the government is fighting to cripple terrorism financing, as seen on municipal updates. The paper adds that unidentified clients of telecoms operators are agents of the terrorism in the northwest, southwest, and far north regions. An occurrence the Guardian Post indicates has led to the Minister of Territorial Administration issuing a 60-day ultimatum to mobile phone operators, threatening sanctions on them for failing to identify subscribers in the 3 restive regions of the country. Meanwhile, the median is keen on the defense chiefs reviewing the security situation in the country ahead of May 20 celebrations, even more so with special military operations to liberate Akwaya from Nigerian herdsmen, reports the Guardian Post and the median. Cameroon Tribune on its part comes back on the controversy with the Indomitable Lion staff, spotlighting the unnecessary polemics. The Post not only agrees in one of its articles, but also hints at the possibility of 2 technical teams, whilst the Herald Tribune zooms in on Mark Breeze penning his deal with the Minister of Sports and Physical Education in the absence of the FA boss. To the median, Samuel Eto'o is playing tough. Consequently, Newswatch brings forth the idea of a FIFA ban looming over Cameroon. These and more kept print media organs in the nation busy separating the facts from fiction.
Thank you very much, Yoti Kale Lesonge, with what the newspapers fed on in the week that just ended. Now, we're going to go into that report and pick just one of the news stories that hit the population, that hit the public. And it's always our privilege to ask the journalists on the set to pick one of them of her choice for us to talk about. And this is the time that we're going to call on Promise Akante to choose one of those stories and we'll talk about on the set.
Killian, I think if you are logically speaking, we could talk about the minister's 60 days ultimatum to mobile telephone operators and providers to identify users, because it sounds bizarre, it sounds weird that someone can call you, threaten you, receive money from you, and you cannot identify the person. Normally when you do transactions, mobile money transactions on your phone, it always asks you a name to confirm that name before you send money for through your phone. So how possible is it for the service providers to say that they cannot identify every single user? A SIM card is supposed to be bought with your national ID card so that you can be identified. And being one person who watches a lot of police investigative series and criminal series from the other side, we see that a single phone call you make, you can be located, your home address, even a background story of you can be obtained just with a single phone call. So why can we not do that? It's like we don't have enough technological powers to identify every single SIM card. How many do we have as Cameroonians who use mobile phones? Like not up to 20 million probably.
No,
so why will it be impossible for a mobile telephone service provider not to be able to identify all those who buy airtime, use airtime, transact money? I think the minister's ultimatum should really continue. Like after the 60 days, they should effectively block every number is not identified.
Yes, it shouldn't get to 60 days because 60 days is the deadline, and there is just no reason why any of those mobile telephone providers should wait for 60 days. And it's for us at this very moment to say that the minister's outing was timely because it was already getting out of hand. As you have said, you don't imagine someone calls you, threatens you, gets money from you, you pay ransom, and he insisted that, especially in the northwest, southwest, and in the far north, where we have crisis in the northwest, southwest, we have ransom that is recurrent in the northwest, southwest. We also have it in the far north, where we have had Boko Haram now for about 10 to 11 years operating, and a lot of ransom taken. And why not also in the Adamawa, where kidnapping also became a phenomenon. That should stop, so that Cameroonians should go about their daily activities in calm and tranquility.
If you could just add a little bit.
We will come back to you if we have the time. We have a professor here, we can call him a professor of technology, and this is part of the technology. How come you live in Cameroon, you live in the US, you live in other parts of the country? Give us the possibility of tracking someone when the system is effective.
Yeah, the Minat boss is right on point, giving this ultimatum for 60 days to have these two mobile phone providers to provide those names. From the perspective of technology expert, that is good for now, short-term solution. But the long-term solution is what I've been preaching over and over and over. Cameroon and African countries need its own satellite independence, its own communication independence. With growth in satellite technologies, you can be able to, you don't even need the name. Within seconds, you can locate where the call came from. And, of course, this will be working and training the police departments in all regions in the area of cybersecurity to be able to detect and head to the point where that phone is held and get the person. Because let's even say they succeed to get those names in 60 days, which I doubt, by the way. We know many people use phones not registered in their names. So that by itself, it would not solve the problem in the long term. Cameroon and African countries, which is why we are pushing for local development of Africa's independent satellite technologies, so we can be independent in tracking these things and not have to depend on France and United States and other parts of the world to do this job through these mobile phone companies. That's my take on this.
That's your take. Just one last thing from you before I continue the round on the set. You had a project. We've announced it here and other places where we have the possibility to do that, of launching a satellite.
Yes.
Where are you with that project?
Absolutely. We, our students at ICT University are doing a tremendous job. They have already run some prototypes of this and developed much of the software, working with some partners around the world, and so we are doing good progress. It's a very expensive project, but we are very, very happy with where we are now. In a couple of years, we'll proudly see it happen in our beloved country, and not just in our beloved country, our partner countries around Sub-Saharan Africa where we operate.
We pray for your success in that very good initiative.
Absolutely.
That is good for all of us. Now, I will end with the president. I'm going to take someone that I always like to announce in public because his story is unique when it comes to the crisis in the northwest, southwest. He is right here with us on the set. Stephen Ojambeng was kidnapped by separatists. He stayed in their camp for about 2 months. If I make a mistake, he will correct me. There were attempts to shoot him. It didn't happen, and how he escaped, we can't say. He only can say it. He's not going to relate all that story. Tell us how it operates. You were in the camp of the separatists and you managed to come out. The phones, unidentified phones, that is a problem for us in this town, Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Killian.
In this country, I wanted to say.
In fact, it's a pathetic story which I really do not want to remember because of what I went through. But I want to applaud the effort of the Minister of Territorial Administration because a lot of information about people is being disseminated outside there by people who are using telephone, and you cannot track these people who are using them. My experience in the dungeons with the amber camps was a very bad one because I saw how they were using the handset, calling people left and right, asking for ransom here and there, and people are paying. It suffices of somebody just living around you, know your number, you can even just use a number to call you and threaten you, and you start shivering to send money to the person because you don't know who is next to you. Maybe the Lucifer itself is just next to you. Maybe perhaps you're drinking somewhere, and out of a sudden they are calling you to tell you that you are somewhere drinking this type of beer and this and that.
Jesus.
You see, you panic.
You panic.
You feel like Satan is around you. Yes. But what is important, like Professor Mbaraka just said there, is that we need to develop our technology. Working in line with what the Minister of Territorial Administration is saying there, it's important that we upgrade our technology and see how we can curb out these practices in our country. But for that which exists in the camp, it is horrible. Horrible because you see young, talented Cameroonians, some well-trained, some are technicians, some are graduates from universities, some have teacher training certificates. But if you listen to their story, you understand that there is something lacking somewhere which needs to be done for us to be able to attain the peace we are clamoring for.
Thank you very much. We hope that we got to that thing which should act as a margin one for us to get peace in our dear country, beloved country. Now we're going to give the last word to the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly, Mr. Ilango Zacchaeus Bakoma, who, as we call in Cameroon, is living on ground zero, GZ. That is where he is based, where these things are taking place. But he's coming here to tell us that in spite of those activities, he is working as Southwest Regional Assembly President. But before we go to how you are working, please, just a word on how the importance of the outing of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganje.
I think, like other speakers have said, it was a very important outing. I think the message is clear. Our telephone communication operators, they must do everything possible to cause all those numbers to be identified. And if that identification is done, it will go a long way to help our defense and security forces to track down these young men and women who have not ceased to disturb the peace and tranquility of our citizens.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, this is Press Hour, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 and Bala 2 in Yaoundé. The program is Press Hour. Now, talking about the Minister of Territorial Administration, is a no-nonsense person. When he means to do something, he does it. You can be sure that if you have a phone that's not identified, it will be blocked after the 60 days. It may be difficult to achieve that, but you can be sure about that. If you have a phone, you don't know the origin of that phone, you better start looking for ways of keeping that phone, because you can buy a phone that will implicate you. You can buy a phone that will take you to prison. That is advice from Press R. Now we're going to go into our focus for today, and we're asking the question, how practical is the special status in the Northwest and Southwest regions? Because those are the regions that have the special status in Cameroon. We will invite one of the experts in the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, that is Mr. Manyani Paul Ikome, who is going to begin by telling us what is in that package that we call the special status.
on every discussion, on the special status must take the cue, from the 2019 law on decentralization, which we call here the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities. That is a legal instrument, governing the putting in place and implementation of the special status. Now, when you read that document in its 328th section 328 of the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities clearly outlines, the three pillars on which the special status is anchored. And what are those pillars? One, the northwest and southwest regions, which benefit from the special status, have the possibility to create development authorities. Point number one about the special status. Point number two, the northwest and southwest regions have the possibility to partake, to contribute in the formulation, elaboration of national policies related to their educational subsystems. Of course, this is by virtue of their linguistic, cultural, and historical specificities. Point number three, the northwest and southwest regional assemblies have the possibility, have the right, to organize and define traditional chieftaincy. Those are the three pillars on which the special status is anchored.
Thank you very much. We now know exactly on what pillars this special status is anchored. But let us see from the evaluation of the Ministry of Decentralization, call it the competent Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development, how practical is this special status from their assessment this far?
Of the special status depends on the creativity, and ingenuity of officials which have either been appointed or elected, to power, to energize the special status. I take a simple example. Regional assemblies of the northwest and southwest have the right, as per the special status, as per provisions of the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities, to define and organize traditional chiefdoms. In most of our villages today, by virtue of population explosion, by virtue of urbanization, you have third-class chiefdoms which are gradually aspiring to become second-class and first-class chiefdoms. In these regions, the law has given the regional assemblies the possibility to express their opinion, on these issues. So, for instance, that is an open domain. They need to put in place maybe a proposal to the government. They need to do something.
Yes, they should do something. We have one of them, the top person from the Southwest in terms of that special status, the president of the Regional Assembly from the Southwest region of Cameroon. But there is something we cannot start the discussion without talking about. It's about the PIC, the Public Independent Conciliator. We just want to know, situate us in the special status. Where is the place of the Public Independent Conciliator before we go into this?
Independent Conciliator is an institution, okay? It's an institution that was created, that saw the light of day thanks to the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities. Now, the Public Independent Conciliator is aimed at amicably settling disputes between the population and regional and local authorities. For instance, if somebody has issues with his local council, with a councillor, with a mayor, with a regional councillor, or whosoever, the Public Independent Conciliator is competent enough to handle that. If in your council of origin, if you have issues with maybe people working in your council or something, you have the right to complain to the public independent conciliator. Take note, the public independent conciliator amicably settles disputes between the population and regional and local administration, and not between the population and the concentrated services of the government. Therefore, if you have an issue with the DO or the SDO, the public independent conciliator is not competent to handle that issue. If you have an issue with the principal or headmaster of a school in your village, the public independent conciliator is not competent to handle that. He is focused on disputes between the population and regional and local administration.
Thank you very, very, very much, Mr. Manyanye Paul Ekome. He is the Director of Communication and Public Relations in the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development. Thank you for those clarifications. We are now going to face our topic, and before we go to that, he talked about the PICs, the Public Independent Conciliators. I want just to greet Mr. Tamfu Simon Fai, who is the Public Independent Conciliator for the Northwest, and Madam Teleren Dorothy Atabong Mutazi, fondly called within family circles as Mommy or Momsy Love. She has that role. I hope she's going to use that quality to settle the problem between users and councils, be they regional or municipal. Now, Mr. President, you have listened to the explanation there. We're going to ask you how practical. Any comment on that explanation and the special status?
Yeah, I think what the director has just said, the explanations is giving, just tie with the spirit and letter of the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities, which we call the Code on Decentralization. I just want to give to throw more light on what he has said. In the Southwest region, at the level of Southwest House of Chiefs and the Regional Assembly, we have come up with a document which we call the Survey on the Designation of Traditional Chiefs in the Southwest region. You know that the Southwest, the mode of designating any traditional ruler differs from one division to another. Mm-hmm. Even within the division, they may differ. Mm-hmm. So we said to ourselves that should we be consulted to give an opinion? Should the House of Chiefs be consulted to give an opinion? We should have a reference document. So that document is almost complete, and we'll think that will be a good working tool because it will make public, it will be found in our archives. Even here, the National Archives in Yaoundé will deposit a copy so that there should be some harmony, not only today but in the future. I think the House of Chiefs initiated this move, and it goes in line with what the director has rightly said.
Apart from that document that you have initiated, and we have had echoes of what you're doing, we're going to have more echoes. I've seen images that we are going to see. How is the special status being implemented in the Southwest, where you head the regional council?
Yeah,
the regional assembly.
A lot of literature has been said about the special status, but what I want to say is that as an actor on the field, the man on the street wants to know what exactly is the special status. So, but as head of the Regional Assembly of the Southwest, I want to say here, without any fear of contradiction, that the special status is effective in the Southwest region. I will give a few examples for the sake of time. When the Regional Assembly sits, you know that the Regional Assembly of the Southwest, just like that of the Northwest, we are bicameral assemblies. So when we sit, we meet in the Regional Assembly, 90 of us, and thereafter we break up into two houses, the House of Divisional Representatives and the House of Chiefs. When matters which are tendered for the examination of the Regional Assembly are first forwarded to the House of Divisional Representatives, and after 24 hours, they are forwarded, the President of the House of Divisional forwards it to the President of the House of Chiefs. If the House of Chiefs does not agree with the position of the House of Divisional Representatives, the House of Chiefs returns the issue to the House of Divisional Representatives. If this disagreement continues, which we have not experienced since we started. But the law provides that the House of Divisional Representatives can vote and forward to the President of the Regional Executive Council to execute. So that is a manifestation of the special status. In the other 8 French-speaking regions,
we don't have it. Organization.
That democratic spirit which we inherited from Britain obtains within the circles of Southwest Region. That's one. Also, you know that we all both the 2 regions, the special status region, and the other 8 regions, we have 8 members in the executive. But in the configuration of our executive has been made in such a way by the legislature that we have 3 commissioners with defined roles. We have the Commissioner for Economic Development, we have the Commissioner for Health and Social Development, we have the Commissioner for Education, Sports and Culture. The other 8 regions do not have. And these commissioners, their roles have been defined in the General Code on Regional and Local Authority. I think they have been doing a great job, and we think that the special status is effective. Our people have seen that the special status is really effective.
Thank you. The House of Divisional Representatives is made up of 70 members, and the House of Chiefs are made up of 20. That makes up that number 90 you are talking about. We're going to come back to you to ask you to show us effectively on the ground what you are doing in terms of realizations. Before we get to that, let's go around the table. I am going to start with Stephen Ojambeng, who is a member of the Northwest Regional Assembly. Now, tell us exactly what is it that the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly has not said that you think we have to highlight also in the special status as far as the Regional Assembly is concerned?
No, I think the president have said it all. But in every creation, we must understand that there will be some conflicting ideas that can usually create some other problems. What the common man on the ground wants to know is to feel that something new has happened. He has outlined those elements that makes Northwest and Southwest to have a special status, especially the creation of commissioners, which we do have, but the other regions do not have. The appellation itself, Regional Assembly, is already an indication that there's something different that has been built up to the people of Northwest and Southwest. But then where I said there is some conflicting elements is at the level where at one time they referred to as a regional council, to the other part they refer to as a regional assembly. So if you were to look into the logical explanation which is being given to why it is referred to as regional council, you now talked about when the divisional representatives are meeting separately from the House of Chiefs, and then there they can refer to it as a regional council. But when both houses are meeting, it's referred to as a regional assembly. But I think it's good when you are selling a good, you do not hold the rope. You do not hold the rope. If it is referred to as a regional assembly, it should be referred to as a regional assembly. Mm-hmm. Because you cannot be giving insignia to people. In other words, they refer to as regional assembly while the insignias are bearing on regional council. It's really contradictory and very difficult.
Who is giving that?
No, but the insignia, the Mr. President is here to confirm that the insignias members of the regional assembly are carrying on it, it is bearing regional councils. Now, if you were to explain that to a common man, maybe you will explain that to an intellectual, he will understand. But a common man will not understand why they will be calling this regional assembly and then insignias.
Let me not even come back to the president yet.
Yes.
You are regional councillors.
Yes.
So it's regional council. You are an assembly when you meet as an assembly.
Exactly.
So is there any problem having it
that
as a
is what I am saying.
Regional council?
I'm saying that both appellations gives in contradiction. Okay? Yes, it is a regional council when divisional representatives are meeting. When both houses are meeting, it is a regional assembly. But I'm saying that in the normal practices that they have given the Northwest and Southwest a special status, if they were to refer to it as a regional assembly, take away the appellation of a regional council.
I still don't see with you. Let us look at before the regional assembly, the House of Chiefs,
Yes.
the representative came. We had municipal councillors.
Yes.
We had city councillors. Where it is from the city councillors or the municipal councillors that a mayor is voted, you remain a councillor. I think that from that perspective, it's
Killian, let me give you clarity.
no. I don't give the impression that we're not understanding. I think maybe you should suggest that during the assembly, when you are sitting as assembly, you should have another insignia that you are going for assembly, but out of the assembly, you have an insignia who say that you are a regional council.
I have no power to decide. What we are seeing here is the contradiction which a common man, our intention here is for the common man to understand what is the special status.
Okay.
I am saying that if Northwest and Southwest is referred to as a regional assembly, right? Why other 8 regions are referred to a regional council, a common man will understand that the fact that Northwest and Southwest is called regional assembly gives a different status to the Northwest and Southwest. Remember that this regional, this special status is a pact that has been given to us because of the major national dialogue. And if they are referring to Northwest and Southwest as a regional assembly, it's because they are giving back the tradition which some of our brothers went on the street contesting that their right have been taken away from them.
Thank you.
Now, in the British Cameroon, they used to exist.
Thank you.
Permit me finish.
I will come back to
Permit
you.
me.
Let me give you. It does not emanate from the national dialogue. Let me show you.
Okay.
In my investigation, in section 62 of the Constitution,
Yes.
which follows section 61. Section 61 talks about the creation of the regions from the provinces that we had, and say that the president can change the name, can change the territorial boundaries. Now it goes to section 61, 62 rather now, of the Constitution, and you know the Constitution does not date back to 2019 when we had the national dialogue, the major national dialogue. The Constitution as revised in 2008, 1996, 1972 is a Constitution that dates back then. And this is what it says, that sub 2 of section 61, without prejudice to the provisions of this part, talking about the other part that has been named, the law may take into consideration the specificities of a certain region with regard to their organization and functioning. I think it already made provision for a special status without the major national dialogue. Now, let us not go into contradiction and then lose focus of our debate. We are going to go to Professor Mbarika. Professor Mbarika is someone who is based in the United States. He's always here in Cameroon. And we just want to ask you, is the special status is a Cameroonian creation?
Oh, absolutely not. The law that came into effect, I believe, December 24, 2019, creating the special status for the North and Southwest regions, is absolutely not new. Historically, after the Second World War, Italy had something like that, where it came up with the region of Trentino as well as Sicily, which we know today. In Tanzania, we have the case of Zanzibar, which is now almost its own independent place. In the Philippines, the Bangsamoro people had special. So it's something that has been even in the United States, in a way, the Native Americans, who are the original settlers in America, they have a special status. There are privileges they get which regular Americans do not get. I have been privileged to be given millions of dollars to develop projects to help interest these regions in getting involved in science and technology. So I'm so excited that this is coming to our beloved country, but we can argue all we want whether it's important to the person on the street, which it is, but I really still believe that we as citizens must take advantage of that special status to do something. It cannot just be left in the hands of these gentlemen who are in charge. I feel bad for them. A lot is expected of them. But business people from the southwest, from the northwest, should take advantage of this special status to invest in these regions. I've had wonderful conversations with Professor Angwafo, who unfortunately is not here today, but about investment opportunities in the area of agriculture, creating a project that will employ 2,000 youths in the northwest and 2,000 in the southwest, which I will hopefully have an opportunity to
talk with the regional president,
the regional of southwest, Mr. Lango. So it comes again to our responsibilities as citizens of Cameroon to be able to take advantage, those that come from those regions, and guess what? Even those that not come from those regions that have the money, take advantage to go invest there. We are doing it. We are planning to do it, and we've started the groundwork. We started putting our money in those regions.
Now, from what you're saying, I understand that the Red Indians in the United States, those people in Italy, they are minorities, and the intention is to protect minorities.
Absolutely.
From your explanation.
The American Indians are the original settlers. The white folks came and killed many of them, took away a lot of their good things, and then they created this special status for them, literally, to place them in a position to compete with the rest of the country and be able to enjoy what is America today. In fact, like I usually say, the only person that has a right to deny a visa to America, I believe, is an American Indian. The rest of the people are just middlemen right now. But yeah, that special status for American Indians is very strong in the United States, and they have taken advantage and created a lot of good things like casinos and so on in those parts where the American Indians are, and they are becoming more and more economically viable. They are creating universities specifically targeting those regions, and so I am so excited about what is happening in Cameroon. It's encouraging. Please, let's not just damn it, let's take advantage. We have these gentlemen that are already working so hard, sacrificing themselves. Let's support them and be able to do good out of it.
Thank you. In this document that we've been quoting here, General Code of Regional and Local Authorities, I have a copy here with me. It's actually indicated when it's talking about the special status. Say the special status is given to the Northwest and Southwest region in view of the cultural, historical, and social heritage.
Yes.
So that's exactly what you're talking about. We're not going to keep promising the cold for so long. Yes, you talk to us about how practical you see as a journalist the special status in the Northwest and Southwest regions.
Yeah, I think as journalists, before you inform the people, before you want to educate people, you're supposed to better understand yourself, how it operates, because it's a special status. We are learning it. It is new to Cameroon. We've been in the provinces, we went to the regions, and the change of name of the country from United Republic to Republic of Cameroon, and all of those changes that were announced that are going to come with the advent of the regions. Even as a journalist, you want to tell people that, okay, this is what is practically happening on the ground. You can't really touch it, you can't really feel it. It's true, they say as the regional assemblies, they have the power to create development associations and all of these bodies, authorities, to fast track development in these regions. But how feasible is it? Because we need to say that, okay, these businesses that are owned or created by Northwest or Southwesterners, it's thanks to the fact that it's the regional assembly that is facilitating their process, maybe financing these businesses, maybe cutting down taxes, or giving them a system where they can better develop with less stress. But it has to be feasible, and the assemblies need to communicate. They need to discuss with the journalists, have time with the press to let the press people understand what's being done, so they can in turn also inform the local masses who do not have access to these documents. I mean, I have my copy of this book in the house, but not everybody has access to this copy of how special our status is. Now, do we also have the possibility of telling people how to benefit from the regional assemblies? If you are an educationist, for example, how do you benefit from these regional assemblies? If you are supposed to go into business, how do you benefit from these regional assemblies? Now, the regional assembly president is there, it's true, he has people he's working with up to 90 members. These 90 people who are in these assemblies, have they taken time to move to their communities? Because they are from a community, of course. Have they gone down to the communities, tell this cocoa farmer that, okay, this is what you're supposed to do to enjoy the fruits of regional of a special status? Because definitely, from all indications, it is meant to empower the people, to better up their lives, to make them feel less marginalized or less reduced, or feel like less of people that belong to that same country. Now, how do we achieve this? How does a papa inside Malfe understand that he can benefit as a special status citizen? How can he, or in the Anjangi group, or in the association, or in their village community meeting, how can they have a practical feel of what the regional assembly is meant to be? We are not in any way hushing down its importance. We enjoy the text, we enjoy the literature, but now in practical terms, let a women's community group in the village know that they can go to the regional assembly, and this is how they can be empowered. A fund in a village far away in Furawa can understand that for my village to develop, thanks to the regional assembly, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is how I'm supposed to move. But what steps do we take to benefit? Prof says he has like 2,000 projects that can employ people. Maybe because Prof has the opening of the understanding of how it is in America or in Italy, but now it is new in Cameroon. We have never experienced it. We need a lot of sensitization, we need a lot of background work, and fighting over who is better, which insignia is definitely the important.
Thank you. That's why I didn't want that to continue. We will find time. Honorable Stephen Ojambing is a special friend of mine. We'll find time to talk about the contradictions. For now, we're not going to go into that one. Now, you've raised a number of questions. I want to greet the people of Furawa. You named them. I want to greet, you said, behind Manfe. I want to greet the people of Eyumojok. I have so many friends from there as we go into Oseikok. I've had the opportunity to travel around the country. I know all of that. She has raised a number of questions, Mr. President. You are here. You are not sitting back there, not communicating. You have come to convince her and to convince people who think like her. I'm going to give you the microphone to show us what you have done, to tell us what you have done. I will not take back the microphone until you exhaust your list.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to say, as in reaction to what Madam the journalist said, the regional assembly communicates and communicates very well. I want to invite Madam to come to the Southwest region, so that, because your colleagues who visit us will testify to this assertion. We communicate. We communicate not only with the press, we communicate with the population we are called upon to cater.
The example, you have left the Southwest this morning early, and you are here in Yaoundé to let the public know of what you are doing. Yes, give us examples of what you've been doing.
No, when we started, we won elections. The elections were organized in 2020 December. When we started, we all know that we started by June, July. So with the apprehension that before the regional assemblies were put into place, because of the problems that all of us know, our two regions, some people say, were divided into 3 zones: the green zone, the yellow zone, the red zone. So we were a bit prudent. We started with the green zones.
Exactly.
To carry out projects. But we said the regional assembly has been created to cater for the population, irrespective of whether they are in the yellow or the red. So the next year we went into the yellow zones. And then now we are already in the red zone. For me, what I want to say to Madam is that in the Southwest region, we no longer have zones. There's no yellow zone, no green zone.
No red zone.
Because why I say this is that when we have a project in a place like Toko, our contractors report to us and the engineers who follow up the project that the people they thought were the ones disturbing are the ones who collaborate to ensure that those projects are realized, because they need, what do our people need? They need water. They need water. Since we came to the Regional Assembly, we've realized that the number one need of our population, be they in urban centers or in the rural area, they need water. So we have embarked on the construction of boreholes in various localities in the 6 divisions. So the people, they also need water. I need water, I don't create problems. The person who creates water needs water. They need electricity. So we're installing solar street lights, not only in the big towns, in all the villages. And they are the ones who assist our country because they need those facilities. So because we believe that some people say there can be no development without peace. But we, at the level of South Regional Assembly, we think that there can be no peace without development. So that is our approach. We are developing the region to pacify the situation, and we think that we are breaking grounds.
Now, I am seeing images of science laboratory in
in Isangele, as I said, who could believe when this whole problem started that government could construct a science laboratory in Isangele? Because the population, like the children there, they need to be doctors tomorrow, they need to be engineers, so they need a laboratory. The Regional Assembly has constructed and equipped a science laboratory in GHS Isangele. We have done that. So there are many other.
Give us some.
We have constructed a magnificent one-story building to serve as an administrative block in the Kumba Regional Hospital. I want to give you the reason. The hospital was transformed from a district hospital to a regional hospital, and more doctors are posted to this hospital, including specialists, and they don't have enough consultation space. So our intention is to pull out the administration from the present colonial building to this new structure that we have put up, so that we create more space for consulting doctors to have space to consult, to attend to our population. In that same hospital, this year 2024, we are building and equipping a hemodialysis center at the regional hospital in Kumba. We have already, the funds are available. Because in the world of Southwest for now, the only center is in Boya. And we have patients coming from Manyu, from Kupe Maninguba, from Jian, because Kumba is like a hub. And so we are embarking on that project, and that project will realize between now and the end of this year. We have constructed classrooms because we have resolved that where we build classrooms, we must equip the classrooms, and then we will ventilated, improved pit latrines, so that those facilities should go operational. We don't want a situation where we build classrooms and the next 1 year the classrooms cannot be exploited. There's pressure on PTA. We know how poor our parents are today because of this problem. So I think in almost all the divisions, these facilities are there. This year, 2024, we will embark on the construction of what we call pedagogic blocks. That is, story buildings with 8 classrooms, 4 offices for the administration, and 16 toilets. Because when the President Minister of Secondary Education, her policy of clean schools.
Clean schools.
You cannot talk of children going to school without thinking about toilet facilities.
Yes, and that her program of clean schools goes beyond the physical. Professor Nalova Lyonga, whom I know personally, is also talking about the discipline, is also talking about cleanliness, physical and psychological. Now, let me just ask you the last question. What's your vision as Regional Assembly for Southwest?
Our vision at the level of Southwest Regional Assembly is to transform the lives of our people. Because you know that before regional assemblies were put into place, the main problem was that people had to trek from the Komebalo to Yaoundé to ask for a health center to be constructed. Today, they no longer need to do that.
Thank you very much. So you're going to work for the well-being of the people of the Southwest indiscriminately. Mr. President tells us that there are no longer green, yellow, and red zones. When it comes to what the Southwest Regional Assembly is doing. Now in the Northwest, the whole of last week was made up of meetings. Just give us briefly what happened in the Northwest. Stephen Ojambe, a member of that Regional Assembly.
Thank you, Mr. Killian. Let me first of all start by thanking the President we have in the Northwest for being very knowledgeable, and
Professor Fruangwafo III,
who loves his people and is always there promoting the culture of the Northwesterners. A lot have been done in the Northwest, quite a lot. In the Northwest, the members, the divisional representative, have been given some stipends to be able to handle little communal jobs at the level of the villages. When you want to talk of development, you should be talking of roads. It is said, where the road passes, development follows. And so most of our people suffer a lot with bad roads in the Northwest. And so the little stipends that goes in through the regional assemblies, the representatives of the regional assembly in the Northwest are assigned to go to the various villages to see how they can ameliorate the living condition of the people, like the roads, farm to market roads and main roads, working just like what used to exist before we call it PWD, Public Work Department.
Okay.
There is also a magnificent building which is going on, that is the regional assembly, which is already ongoing in Bamenda. We also have a dry seaport which is already also going on in the Northwest. So there are a lot. And the presidents, like he's sitting here, can only work with the competence that have been transferred. You cannot go above that. And so we were expecting 72 competence that were supposed to be transferred to the regional assembly. And so if only 7 have been transferred, it tells you that there's still limitation for
you to operate
or the assemblies to be able to take over, so that the common man
should feel
who is down there should feel that something new has come.
Thank you.
I think these are some of the issues where I say there are some conflicts within which can actually destroy a good work, something which was brought in to better up the living condition of the people and make the people in the Northwest and Southwest feel that they have been respected and honored, and what is theirs is given back to them.
Thank you very much. The President of the Regional Assembly for the Northwest, Professor Fruangwafo III, has promised that he will be here next Sunday. We're going to make it a series. He will certainly come down with the pictures, images of what they're doing, like the president of the Regional Assembly for the Southwest, Mr. Elango Zakios Bakoma, has shown us. He has told us some of the things they are doing. We expect the president of the Northwest Regional Assembly, Professor Fruangwafo III, to bring some of those things and show people who are doubting. Like we had our colleague here who was doubting. The president has...
I was not doubting for myself.
I agree. We agree with you.
Right.
We said you are airing the views of so many other people.
Exactly.
Now this is the time, since you are talking, for us to ask you to give your way forward in 45 seconds.
Yes, and just to add, like Ojambe was saying, you can't give somebody the goat and hold a rope. If the regional assemblies will solve issues, between people and their councils, we have like those councils are not as many as those who are appointed as administrative officials in the other regions. What happens now if somebody inside really wants to solve a problem between this individual down here and an authority? Maybe the regional assembly should be given more competency.
Yes,
it should be triggered down to them in
I think that is out of 72 they have 7. That's a problem.
Really
and you talked of Southwest Tokomdian. I greet the people of Mundemba. I greet the people of Ngole village. So many people know what I'm talking about. Now we don't have time. We need the last word from Professor Victor Mbaraka. Yes, go forward.
Again, I'm really excited about this, and I want to congratulate the gentlemen who are already working very hard for this special status to be implemented on ground. It's only our wish that the people you confide these responsibilities to are honest in managing the resources, no matter how small it is, made available to them for the benefit of the people. Like I said earlier, I've had wonderful conversations with Professor Angwafo. I've had wonderful conversations with some of the chiefs of the Northwest and Southwest
Yes, I didn't talk
regions.
about the red feather that you have.
Yes,
you should be very close to the chiefs.
From the Bali and as well as the Meta regions. They gave me this last year, so I'm very, very proud of this.
Okay.
And I've committed to do a lot in those areas, including establishing a special IT in medicine hospital on the Bamenda Bengui Road. And I talk with some of the people who to the point where I did not necessarily have to go to ministries here in Yaoundé to discuss. We've already started plans. That is practically how this is already working on ground. So I'm very, very proud of what is happening.
Thank you very much, Prof. Needless to talk about the fact that you are a man of the people from all stratas of society, chiefs, common people, the highly placed. Thank you very much. The very last word goes to Mr. President, Mr. Ilango Zacchaeus Bakoma, President of Southwest Regional Assembly, who came right away from Boya today.
I want to thank you for this invitation and to assure you that we are available at any time that you need us. We'll respond to your invitation.
Thank you very much. And now I'm saying that you came because a beautiful man who is well dressed will not go walking in the bushes, will come out like you have come on a clean tarred road. Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen. Thank you wherever you're watching us for your time. If you miss out on this program, anything, watch us on Monday at 2:30 p.m. That is CRTV Premium, and on CRTV News on Wednesday after the news in French, in the French language. That is after 9 p.m. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.